New $1,900 payments approved. Take a look at this, $1,900 Social Security payment. These people will receive it tomorrow, November 20th. I'll let you know who is getting this $1,900 check for Social Security tomorrow, November 20th. And did you know that the U.S. government is not stealing from Social Security? No, they're calling it borrowing from Social Security. That is what is being said. But a representative in Congress is not falling for that. Hear what Representative Graves has to say.
And these are the very people whose benefits we're cutting. Mr. Speaker, I've heard people sit here and say the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund is gonna move forward 6 months with this bill. Mr. Speaker, the solvency has been delayed years because you've stolen from these people. Do you not understand math? This number right here, the Congressional Budget Office, $195 billion, you know what that number is? That's the number that you're going to be stealing from these same public servants over the next 10 years if you don't fix this. So we can sit here and we can talk about all these numbers and math. Here's the reality. You have stolen somewhere probably between $600 and $700 billion in Social Security benefits.
As Americans, I think we can all share the frustration that Representative Graves is saying, how the government is stealing from Social Security. Let's not call it borrowing. Let's call it stealing. If a thief were to borrow all the possessions in your house and say he'll pay it back later, is that borrowing or stealing? No, it is stealing. The government is stealing from Social Security and ruining the lives of millions of Americans. I'm going to play the full video clip of what Representative Graves has to say, let you know who is getting the Social Security $1,900 payments tomorrow, and I'm going to give you some other important updates as well. Before I dive into the main content, if you appreciate these Social Security updates, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more Social Security updates. So this site, Verify This, very good, always verifies information, saying yes, the federal government borrows Social Security funds, that the federal government does borrow money from Social Security, but it's required to pay the money back with interest. Key thing there, pay back the money with interest. Now, you may wonder, oh, if the government is borrowing money from Social Security, why are the funds running out in 10 years and it's going to become insolvent? Can't they just pay the money back? Great question, especially with the billions of dollars going overseas to fund other countries' wars, billions of dollars to going to random countries that have nothing to do with war, but just money being sent there, wasted billions of dollars that could be used for Americans, not only to help Americans general, but especially our most vulnerable people on SSDI, as well as retired Americans on Social Security. Those are the most important people in our country, the retired as well as the disabled. Those are the ones who deserve Social Security payments. So when any government official is saying that, oh, we don't have the money for Social Security, it's a big, whatever, they're stealing money from them. So according to this, does the federal government borrow Social Security funds? Well, the answer is yes, the government borrows Social Security funds, but it is required to pay the money back with interest. What happens if you borrow money from the bank and you don't pay it back? You get in a lot of trouble. Why aren't Congress members and the government getting in trouble for stealing from Social Security? Well, I'm going to get into that as we are going to hear from Representative Graves. This is the Social Security Fairness Act. This is what he's talking about. I'm going to let you know the details on what is up with that bill, as it is kind of history. It's the first bill to have been voted and passed in the House in I don't know how long, many years before any Social Security bill has passed in the House, in Congress in general. So I'm going to give you that, as well as after this video clip, I'm going to go over this $1,900 Social Security payment. These people will receive it on November 20th, tomorrow. Who is getting that check? Who's getting $1,900? All that after this video footage from Representative Graves.
The gentleman from Louisiana is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank Chairman Smith for the time. Mr. Speaker, I've listened to this debate and heard so many things that are simply misunderstandings or maybe just intentionally telling things that aren't true. My mom used to say when I was growing up, she would ask me, is it going to take an act of Congress for you to clean your room? She would say it all the time. It's going to take an act of Congress for you to clean your room. And I don't know what she meant because I thought my room was pretty clean. But what she meant is that is it going to take the earth, wind, and stars all moving, mountains moving in order for you to act? Mr. Speaker, this has been 40 years. This has been 40 years of treating people differently, discriminating against a certain set of workers. These are police officers, these are teachers, these are firefighters and other public servants. Mr. Speaker, I worked side by side with these folks. They're not people that are overpaid. They're not people that are underworked. Police officers, think about the crime issue, the defund police issue, the safety of our communities. They are integral to our state. They're integral to our nation. We need to treat them fairly, respectfully, and that means by not treating them differently, discriminating against them and their benefits. Teachers, they're the ones who train the next generation. Firefighters, who are you going to call when your house is on fire? And these are the very people whose benefits we're cutting. Mr. Speaker, I've heard people sit here and say the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund is going to move forward 6 months with this bill. Mr. Speaker, the solvency has been delayed years because you've stolen from these people. Do you not understand math? This number right here, the Congressional Budget Office, $195 billion, you know what that number is? That's the number that you're going to be stealing from these same public servants over the next 10 years if you don't fix this. So we can sit here and we can talk about all these numbers and math. Here's the reality. You have stolen somewhere probably between $600 and $700 billion in Social Security benefits from police officers, teachers, firefighters, and other public servants. If you don't pass this, the Congressional Budget Office says you're going to steal another $195 billion. You know, an interesting nugget that was in the Congressional Budget Office's evaluation is they also said, if you actually pass this law, you're going to save money on your social welfare programs because you're going to lift people out of poverty and they'll no longer be dependent upon our social welfare programs. Mr. Speaker, we can't keep doing this. I heard people talking about penalizing people and taxes and all that stuff. Let me tell you what's happening. There is a group of people right now that effectively are paying a higher tax than anyone else. That's what's happening. And it is the reason why the Social Security Trust Fund is going to remain solvent for years longer. It's unfair. It's unjust. And I'm going to say it again. This is a community of people that cannot afford this. This is a community of people that are some of the hardest working folks in our community, and they have been stolen from for 40 years. Very simply, Mr. Speaker. Here's the scenario. Let's say that Chairman Smith and I were both security guards. We got paid the same amount of money over the same period of time. After 20 years, I say I'm out, and I go back and I help to raise family. Mr. Smith goes on, Chairman Smith goes on to become a sheriff's deputy, and he does it for 10 years. When he retires, when we retire on the same exact date, my Social Security benefits may be $1,500, $1,800 more. Why? Why? We paid the same amount, same period of time into the Social Security Trust Fund. Mr. Speaker, look, there are folks that have tried to throw up other legislation and say that these other alternatives are the right way to go. Mr. Speaker, there is one bill in this Congress that has a majority of Republicans and a majority of Democrats. I don't know the number right now. I know recently it was the most co-sponsored bill in all of Congress with over 12,000 bills introduced. The most co-sponsored bill. And you know what? We didn't go through the regular committee process. I do want to thank Chairman Smith for working with us. But you know what we did? We had a hearing in Louisiana. We had a hearing in Washington, D.C. We negotiated for months trying to get there, and we couldn't. But there's one package that has the support of the majority of Republicans, the majority of Democrats, and will fix this once and for all. How in the world we're trying to beat up on the bill that is the most co-sponsored bill in Congress? My friend Mr. Larson was talking about the divisiveness, the polarization. My gosh, we have finally come together on something Let's pass this bill. Let's show America that we can do what's right and what's just. And let's make sure this bill gets through the Senate, gets to the president's desk, and it doesn't take another 40 years to do what's right. Yield back.
Now, Representative Graves, really frustrated there. You could see he is super passionate about this and how the government is stealing from Social Security. Now, to be fair, he is part of the government machine that is stealing from Social Security. Also, he's getting paid $174,000 a year on Social Security. Now, not to discredit what he's saying, not to say that he doesn't believe in this, but I think it's important that we have to be aware that Congress members, even the ones who are for Social Security, are getting paid $174,000 a year salary. Now, I would love to see these Congress members who are against Social Security, against giving increased amounts of Social Security to retirees and disabled, I would love to see them live off of Social Security. I think that Congress members should at least have 1 month where they swap places. Not just live off of Social Security, but let's just say choose someone like you, however much you're getting paid per month. Let's say it's $1,000, $1,500 from Social Security. Have the Congress member live off of that for a month, and then you get the salary of the Congress member. Do a swap where you get the $174,000 a year salary for the 1 month. They have to live off of your Social Security. Let me know down in the comments below if you think that's a good idea. Also, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you like how I'm giving you all the articles and updates on Social Security and video clips. Do that. So let's get into this right here. Social Security Fairness Act is now in the hands of the Senate. So that was actually the House about to vote on the Social Security Fairness Act, which it passed. Now, it is going to the Senate. A lot of people are saying that it's probably not going to pass, but the Senior Citizens League is saying we're guardedly optimistic. There is so much momentum. If it doesn't get passed now, a lot of people will lose hope. So, do you think that this bill is going to pass in the Senate? Now, to be fair, this is going to affect 2.8 million people on Social Security. We have around 70 million people on Social Security. So, although this is an important bill, I would have loved to see this type of passion, this type of support for a bigger bill, like the Social Security Expansion Act, which would give an extra $2,400 to every single American. I'm going to give you more info on that video in a moment if you haven't caught that yet, between Trump and Bernie Sanders working together, and there could be a $2,400 boost with that partnership. So stay tuned for that video in a bit. So what happens next with this? It's going to go to the Senate, but if it isn't passed by December 31st, by the end of the Congress session, it is done. It'll have to be reintroduced, so all that voting won't mean anything. Now, let's get to the payments here. $1,900 Social Security payment. These people will receive it on November 20th. So who is getting these payments? So the beneficiaries who receive a payment on Wednesday, November 20th, are those with birth dates between the 11th and 20th. So if your birthday is between the 11th and 20th, you will get your payment tomorrow. It'll be the same amount of payment that you got in the month of October. So one of the last few payments of Social Security before the change, which goes on in January of 2025. $1,900 is usually the average payment, around the average payment of all Americans on Social Security. So that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day, and I am going to be telling you that you always need to have fun at the playground or at anything. You need to have fun with yourself and enjoy yourself how you are right now, because the day after it won't be around. So you have to enjoy the day first. Bye.
A $2,400 Social Security boost with an epic partnership between Bernie Sanders and Trump, as Bernie Sanders is saying there is some middle ground. There is some things that he praises about Trump. Who would have thought this would have happened? You're not going to want to miss that. So click that video now, and I'll share with you the $2,400 boost that could potentially come from Trump and Bernie Sanders. So click that video now, and I'll see you in that video. Take care. Be safe. Thank you for watching.